All right, guys. So this week we're talking on ecstasy. Welcome back, by the way. It's been quite a
Thank you
few
for
months,
having me.
of course. All right. So this week we're talking about a new white paper that came out all about ethical AI in the world of work. And this woman, Claire, I think works at the company that did the study.
Yeah, it's
And she basically,
I can step
yeah.
in. It's the Top Employers Institute, who run a business based in Europe, out of Holland. I've done some work with them in the past, and they collect data and information from hundreds and hundreds of companies about what they're doing around different things. And this is something they've done around ethical AI, what Gen Z think about AI and stuff.
Awesome. Yeah. So essentially, her post was about how there's a growing distrust of AI, 48% reporting not welcoming it into the workplace, and 55% being confident that their organization will implement it in a trustworthy and responsible way. There wasn't much other data in, like, Command
Yeah.
F Gen Z in the report. So there wasn't like much data specifically around Gen Z, but I think what was interesting to me at least was that 55%, trust that their organization will implement it responsibly, and then 61% saying AI will have a positive impact on their career. What do you make of this, Mervyn, and what did you find interesting about maybe those numbers specifically?
Well, I thought it was interesting that almost a half don't welcome it. Where I would have thought that, I mean, that surprised me. But having said that, maybe putting my ex hat on, maybe I'm just assuming Gen Z lap up anything that is some new technological advancement. And so I see it, it is a good tool. It is something that can help people in their work. So I would have thought more people would have embraced it. But having said that, it comes down to trust in organizations, trust in how these things are used, trust in why they're being used. And I suppose there is possibly, as we've touched on in different ways in previous conversations, an element almost of distrust from the emerging generation in the workforce with how their organizations maybe are using technology and how they may use technology. So I suppose that possibly is those who've grown up with it uh, see it one way, and maybe there's slightly, I don't know, not sure, should we say, how those who are implementing it but haven't grown up with it are going to implement it. I don't know
Yeah,
what your
I
thoughts are on that.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty fair assessment. I would say that distrust comes from this kind of reaffirmation of seeing companies maybe consistently over time prioritize profit over people. And so, job cuts being one of the biggest indicators. And then I just saw another story the other day about how a company cut like 10,000 employees. Now they're planning on hiring like 1,000 new employees, all focused on AI. So it's like, and like, what does that even mean? Like, I think there's just a lack of transparency there as well. Yeah, and I think to that point, that distrust then manifests itself in generally like fear as to how am I going to actually fit into this organization or like have a career if I'm just going to get laid off constantly, or how am I going to progress my AI skills? I think there's just a lot of questions surrounding surrounding career progression in the age of AI. It looks like we might have lost Mervyn. This says that he's offline. So it's been a really successful session of ecstasy. I think we touched on some interesting, important points. And I think we probably, oh, here you are. I was
I
about to
don't know what
say.
happened there. I don't know what happened there.
Um, anyway,
Yeah.
um, yeah, so I don't know. What do you think about that? Of like this, there is a distrust. I mean, there was also another post that you sent me about what Gen Z wants from work. Uh, um, I'm gonna just pull it up here. But yeah, I think like in terms of 61% saying AI would have a positive impact on their career. What do you think about that number? I think that's pretty low.
I was surprised. I would have thought that the I thought that I thought that would have been much higher, because I would have expected that people within Gen Z, people like yourself, would see this very much as a tool that can help you, a tool that can help do things for you, make things easier, maybe, and enable you to do a lot more with your time.
Yeah, I think I think there's just maybe a misunderstanding around like how AI will play a role in someone's career. I think there's just a little
Mhm.
bit of confusion there. And also looking at these numbers that you sent me around their Gen Z's focus study, a lot of the numbers, like 81%, of Gen Zers want senior leaders to listen to their input and consider their suggestions. 78% expect to find community and social connections and belonging through work. I think there's generally like a prioritization amongst Gen Z for more social connection at work and for work to be meaningful. I think there was another stat about that as well. And I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
there is maybe this fear or concern around AI detracting from that and taking away from, that desire for more connection versus, what AI seems to do, like maybe a high level, which is automate and make everything feel cold. And that might also be a result of their experiences and interactions with AI, because at this stage, we're still in the early days, right? Like we still are interacting with AI chatbots that might
mhm,
feel less human to us. So I don't know. I
yeah.
think that could be one of the reasons for some of these numbers. What do you
Yeah,
think?
I think so. I mean, it's early days yet. We still don't know. I mean, if we have this chat in 2 years' time, probably we will be using, or AI will be implemented in every platform in a way that we haven't seen yet, or we haven't thought of yet. In terms of the data that comes out about what younger, newer entrants to the workforce want, I think I've said this in a previous X to Z. I mean, when I started work, I also wanted to be listened to. I didn't want to be some quiet trainee sitting in a corner, being told to kind of do menial work. And once I've been there for a year and I've proved that I can do it, I can be given something else. I'd done exams. I wanted to come in and hit the ground running and start doing things. Um, but there was a structure within the organisation that meant that I was very much a trainee, and I had to do what a trainee did. So I don't think, in some respects, I don't think Gen Z are that different, in that they want to grab opportunities straight away. They come in with confidence. They come in believing that they're able to do things. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I personally don't think it's that much different from the last couple of generations. Maybe going boomers and before that, it was slightly different, because the way organisations were set up were very different. Um, but I don't think. I mean, for Gen Z to come in and want to kind of hit the ground running and really make a noise and get involved in things. I don't think that's there's anything wrong in that whatsoever. I think that's a good spirit. Now, they might not like the way things are done in organizations, but then, with a fresh perspective, we can learn from each other, if you like. So it's kind of like, X can learn from Z and vice versa.
So what would be your parting advice to, let's say, a Gen Zer who wants to get more involved and wants to be heard in this age of AI, and then also to that manager who's managing that Gen Zer who wants to feel heard?
Well, to the manager, think about what management is. It's not about telling people what to do. It's not about, yes, you have the responsibility if things don't necessarily work out. You take the glory when they do, maybe. But it's actually helping to support and enable people at whatever level they are in the organization. And if they come in with lots of raw enthusiasm, and, it's tempering that to a certain degree, but also not trying to quieten it and dampen it down, but to actually use that energy and enthusiasm. to help somebody, kind of really move ahead in their career. In terms of Gen Z, it's, I suppose, come in kind of, you know that you have tech skills and knowledge possibly beyond a lot of the senior people you'll be reporting to, and using that as a way to teach them, using that as a way to look, I can do that for you, I can sort that out for you, and build trust. I think most organizations, it comes down to trust between people. It doesn't matter what your job title is. It doesn't matter how much experience you've got. It's trust between people, and it's building that trust and how you build that trust, and it's giving it a chance to nurture and develop. So it's not kind of, look, because you've only got 6 months experience, I'm not listening to you on this. It's actually, okay, what's your perspective, what's your viewpoint, and maybe you can learn. So I think it needs to be a lot more open, and I know some organizations are, and I know that some Gen Z people like yourself, Danielle, are taking a slightly different route into the commercial world, by creating your own paths. And that's also something that organizations can do. They can help support people who maybe want a slightly different path under the umbrella of the organization. There are many different career paths, many different ways to actually achieve satisfaction and achieve good work. So I think everybody has to respect each other, everybody has to listen to each other, and everybody has to kind of see what they can learn from each other.
Beautifully said. I love that. And I would say to like that Gen Z or young professional who wants their voice to be heard, I think, learn more about AI. Like be that person that,
Yeah.
helps to enhance the team understanding of the newest tools, and be the person, in the room who's willing to talk about it and share with others. So awesome. Let's wrap right there. But it was so good to see you, and we'll talk again soon.
We will do, I'm sure. Enjoy the rest of the show.
Thank you. Bye.